long time no see. Or here. I just don't know what platform you're using, either YouTube or Spotify or whatever you're listening on or watching on. Welcome back. It's been quite a while. I apologize. Might as well just get out of the way. I really do apologize. Last week, there was no post. I missed you. I hope you missed me too. Moving on, we're in bigger and better things now. It's just been a crazy week on my end, trying to figure out how to portion out my energy and all that good stuff and blah, blah, blah. This isn't about me. This podcast is about you. Welcome to the Sarcastically Optimistic podcast. I almost mispronounced it because it's been that long. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? Welcome back. Thank you so much for being patient with me. The Sarcastically Optimistic podcast, what is it about? Again, I have to do this maybe for the first couple episodes. But this conversation, this podcast, is about you. And it's about me and it's about everyone. Kind of sophisticated talk about what's going through our lives and our minds, in the recent times. There's a lot of really, really big things that are happening in the world, and there's so many things and not enough time for our minds to fully understand or even envelop. Like, it's hard to wrap our heads around what's going on right now. But I just want to let you know that this podcast is here to kind of talk about our insecurities and everything out in the open, talk about active strategies that we can take. Again, I am not 100% about everything. Like, I'm not a certified therapist, psychiatrist, counselor, nothing. But I am a human being, just like you, going through very similar emotions. Excuse me, I think my microphone is kind of low. There you go. We're all going through the same things. And the thing and the most unhealthy thing that we can do for ourselves is to kind of keep it in ourselves. So just know that once you bring things to the light, right, as my old friend used to say, that sunlight is the best disinfectant, meaning that if you bring things to light, that's where your real growth will be. And know that you are not alone in any sort of way. You are where you need to be. And I always say this in every episode. So if this is your first episode, hopefully it is, then this will be the first time you're hearing it, that you're loved, right? I love you. And that got kind of awkward. But anyways, welcome back. I took a week break, so I apologize once again. And it's really good to have you guys back. Good to have the time to be doing this, and just having this time together really means a lot to me. For those of you visual listeners out there, my hair is really, really messy. I'm not even talking about Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man 3 messy anymore. I'm just talking about like probably Edward Scissorhands. If you ever seen that great movie that was made in the 90s, Tim Burton was the director, Edward Scissorhands, Johnny Depp, Winona Ryder. Great movie. If you really need something to really get you into the Christmas spirit in March, definitely recommend. So today, I really want to talk about something that one of my close friends, Yesenia, who was a counselor at the school I work for, taught me recently. So we were hanging out the other day, and we were talking about a lot of different things. And again, like, it's really hard, right? There's a lot of things happening in the world, and you feeling overwhelmed or even just hesitant about everything that is happening around you is completely normal, because there are things that we can't predict to happen and that have happened. And I just want you to know that you're not alone in any sort of way. So hopefully you have those friends and family that you kind of know and hold dear to yourself and never really let them go, right? Really make time for them, because for a fact, they will do the same exact thing for you. Now the microphone's too loud. But just know that you're not alone, okay? So I don't specifically have anything from a book necessarily that I can give you today, maybe in the next episode. But I just really want to hone in on this exercise that Yesenia told me and taught me. Shout out to Yesenia if you're listening. This concept, because again, I struggled, and just like all of us, probably you in this given moment, have been struggling with knowing how to divide your energy among what matters and what doesn't. Because again, there's so many things happening around us that we can't really differentiate what is worth our time and what isn't, right? Like, we can't just say someone's not worth our time, because that would just be super messed up. Like, you can't just say that. But knowing exactly where you want to be taking your energy and your time, right? You have to be very intentional about it. And the thing is, there's only so much energy that I just hit the mic again. Oh my Lord, I'm just going to drop the mic after this episode. But one thing to note is that you wake up in the morning, right? And for like almost maybe 90% of you listening, you wake up really groggy. So you know for a fact that when you wake up in the morning, you only have so much energy to expel, right? To use with people, to use with your school. And given that we have to go to school and work, a good reserve of that energy is already invested into school and work, 9 to 5, all that good stuff. So where does that leave the residual energy, right? Like, by the time you probably get home and you hit the couch, I was going to say, you probably just feel so enervated, meaning that your energy is just completely gone from that investment in the work or at school. Because again, not all days of work and school days are treated equally. Like, there are some days that are more demanding than others, and we have to acknowledge that. So where do all of our residual energies go? Like, is there enough at the end of the day? And if we do have enough, hopefully you guys feel like you do. And if you don't, that's okay. What do we do with that energy, right? So I was telling, and me and Sandy were talking about it, is just that everything that happened, or everything that happens in a day, just seemed to overwhelm me. Just the littlest things, like the littlest intricate and minute frustrations, right? And maybe a lot of you can relate to this, that you go about your day, maybe that you're about to make a turn, and then all of a sudden that green light turns yellow and then red immediately as you approach it, right? You all know that feeling. You're like, what? Why is the day always against me? And everyone's saying carpe diem this. If you guys don't know what carpe diem is, I'm pretty sure it's Latin for seize the day. But in Jamba Juice, they use the word squeeze the day. This podcast is not sponsored by Jamba Juice. I wish it was, though. That would have been Jamba if you're listening. Anyways, those little things, right? Like that stoplight, or maybe someone said something that rubbed you the wrong way, right? Those are things that eat away at our energy because we become internally frustrated. Those little things, although they are very little, do add up throughout the day. And there was this concept that Yesenia was talking about, and what she did is she took a sticky note, because that was just randomly there. Shout out to my roommate, Daniel. She used a sticky note. Sorry, Daniel, I owe you a sticky note. And she took a pen and she drew an upside down figure. And I was like, what is that? That looks weird. And it just so happens that it was upside down. She inverted it and it was a mug, right? It was a cup. And what she said is that sometimes, and especially most of us throughout any of our days, we spend with the cup being full already, with whatever liquid, like the liquid representing things that you're holding on to, right? So for her, she was saying like, oh, maybe for you, it's just like a lot of, coworker tension, or maybe it's just like internal frustrations. And what you do is like you draw the mug and you kind of draw and write in the mug whatever you feel like you're holding on to, whether it be like a grudge or whether it be just like the little frustrations. And, by the end of the exercise, maybe you'll get a clearer image of how full your cup is, right? Even when you start the day, right? Meaning that the smallest things, such as the stoplight example, or even, again, like a little statement that someone said to you that you're like, what the freak, man? Maybe you're adding a little bit more water than your mug or your cup can handle, right? So it's already brewing to the top. So when you put one simple drop in it, it's already going to start to overflow, right? So the question is, how do you empty this said cup? Because we cannot go about our day-to-day routinely, that's what routine is, when our cup is filled to the brim already from the get-go, right? That's a thing you need to consider, right? When you're waking up in the morning and you're just like the littlest things really annoy you, and even the biggest things really push you to the edge, make sure that you are kind of reflecting and hopefully kind of thinking really hard about what you're holding on to and all the energy that you are spending, right? Because sometimes we begin our days with very, very little energy, and that's why we get ticked off very easily, because our cup, our mug is so full to the brim from the beginning of the day, right? So the question is, how exactly do we empty this cup? Because it's really important to note And what I think has been really helpful in this case, and I was brought up like this, and it was an amazing exercise that my mom always told me, is that you have to list out things that make you happy. I know it sounds really dumb, and sometimes it can go from like shoes to like a new laptop or a new iPhone or whatever. I keep talking about iPhones in this podcast. Apple, you heard me. I'm just kidding. I do like apples, the fruit though. My gosh, my mind is chaotic right now. So the exercise she taught me when I was growing up was to make a list of things that made me happy. And I thought that was really weird, right? Because, growing up, like everything kind of makes you happy. Like going to PE, seeing your friends, eating your cold or hot lunch, right? Shout out to my elementary school kids out there. I really doubt elementary school kids listening to this. But everything was so great because we had a childlike curiosity. And this is something that I want to talk about, and that, no, sorry, not me, us, that we'll talk about in a future episode, is that what makes us happy is actually very, very clear from when we're young. We know exactly what makes us tick, what makes us smile, and also even the things that make us upset, right? I can even remember things that made me happy were, like even simple hugs from family members. And that was solidified very early on. For some people, it might be maybe an icy or a Slurpee, which I just had before this. That's why I'm super hyper right now. There's an icy maker right across from the school I work at, and it's great. So identifying those things and those happy things, it's really important to know when you grow older is that our brains are not made to retain ideas. They're made to create ideas, but not maintain them, right? So that's why we have to jot something down if we remember something, or it's really important to take note of what's going through our heads. Like if it's a fun idea or a creative idea, it's really important to take down. So the thing about this, the whole thing, is you have to list down things that make you happy. And if that requires you to think about your childhood, then so be it, right? Like that is what an inner child is. We have to hone in what our innocent curiosities are and what really makes us laugh and makes us smile, that makes us really energized to be in our day. So your list there's no such thing as something dumb on your list. It can even include like going to Starbucks like once a week, or even like getting a latte, or even, walking the dog or watching a movie, right? Like I referred that to in a previous episode that I had a friend that watched a movie every day because they knew that was the one thing in their day that energized them. So now your action plan, hopefully by the end of this podcast, sorry, I'm like rubbing my hands together if you can't see me, is to identify what makes you happy and make a list, and at least make it a list where you can maybe put up on the wall or something, right? Because during those moments where you feel annoyed, you feel down, you just don't feel like operating for the rest of the day, we tend to go blind, right? We can't see the happiness. We can't see the little bright things in our life. And having a list ready, right? Ready and at the go, maybe on your closet door, or maybe like on your desk, or even like on an app or a notes app on your laptop or whatever. Having that list to go back to helps us remind ourselves that happiness does exist and that it is in arm's reach, right? So having that list, right, for me, it's like, it's going to sound dumb, like, right, here we go, is watching movies, right? Because again, I spent a majority of my growing up and my childhood watching movies with my family. So I've kind of associated it with loving and like a communal, like kind of a communal activity, right? And it's always been just like really brightens up my day because it reminds me of the times where I would spend with my family watching movies and just reacting to everything. Ices, I mentioned ices, and I'm just like a huge advocate. Just to let you know, Slurpees and ices are two different things. Slurpees are from 7-Eleven. Ices are like the things that you get from the movie theater. Ices are way better, just saying. See, like my list is very weird, right? Like ices, movies, what? Like just go to the movies. Like we just can't afford that with gas prices these days, just saying. But the least I can do is, get an icy from the gas station and you just come here in my apartment and watch a movie. And I can still fulfill those requirements. So it doesn't really require you to have all the funds in the world. You can actually identify things like, for instance, if you like boba is like pretty expensive. Like, for those of you that know what boba is, it's milk tea. It's like those balls in the tea, with the big straw, and you sip it. And people enjoy that, and that's so fine. It's so fine. It's fine. It's completely fine enjoying that. And boba does get kind of expensive. Like there are some places that sell for like $8 or like $7. It's ridiculous. But for me, I realize that I love boba, but also I love ices, and you can get an icy for like $1.99 at the gas station, and like that's like the last place you would probably like think of to get something great. But at the end of the day, I just wanted something sweet and like something that's liquid and sweet, like really ups my day. I can go in weird directions, but you know what I mean. Identifying those things, again, you don't have to have the unlimited budget. Like you can still maintain those things that make you happy on a budget. You can still do those things and find those activities that really make you energized, that make you uplifted in a way, right? Going for a walk in the park, spending time with your mom, calling your friends, your family, whatever it needs to be. Put whatever you can on that list, because that list will again be a reference point for when you're feeling down. So going back to the cup example I was talking about, is that Yesenia made me kind of write in what I was holding on to, like things that, again, like I valued, but also things that kind of irritated me. So like, frustrations, obligations to family, obligations to friends, like the way I look and like everything. And I noticed that in this exercise, like again, this drawing of a cup was dramatically increasing in volume because I was adding so much. And she made me realize that this exercise really puts into perspective how we begin our day and how we end it, right? Are we taking the proper precautions and the proper measures to emptying our cups before starting the new day, or even ending the day itself? That list of things that will make you happy, I guarantee you, will help you at least ease some of the contents of that cup of yours, right? Having that list to understand what makes you enlightened, that really boosts your emotions, that really makes you feel loved and everything, right? Even, like I said, calling your parents to an icy. Like, this list is not, there's nothing dumb about it. It's what makes you, you. You're uniquely you. And having this list helps you actively empty that cup so you don't have to begin every day with an overflowing cup already, right? So shout out to Yesenia for teaching me that. And that's how I was able to be here now, because I was able to empty my cup, because I had to list down. Sometimes you have to sit yourself down and really talk to yourself about these things and have that conversation, not just with everyone, like, your friends, but with yourself about what really makes you happy. And this is the first time in all the episodes I told you to actually really list it down, right? So this is not an episode where I'm recommending a book. Ironically, it's something that I'm telling you to create now. Like, rather than being a consumer of content, be a creator of such. And the content being what makes you happy, that makes you content, that makes you who you are. Because your interests, all of your interests, if you were to map them out, are never going to be the same as someone next to you. Maybe there will be a majority of them very similar to someone, and that's hopefully will be with your soulmate or with your friends. But all of it, that mosaic of interests that you have, is never going to match a single person's, because you are you, and you're beautiful the way you are. And what makes you beautiful is your character, your personality, what you like, what you don't like. That's what makes you you. And like I said in previous episodes, people know, like, people that love you for who you are know what you like and what you don't like, and they love you regardless, just like I do. This got really intimate. But I really hope that you guys consider this exercise that maybe Yesenia didn't create. Yeah, Yesenia, I'm calling you out. You didn't create this. And she probably didn't. But it's an extremely important exercise, right? And this quote, I guess I'll drop a quote in every episode, was taught by one of the loveliest people that I know. And she told me that you have to choose your battles, because every day there will be another battle to face. You'll have your armor, you'll have your steel-plated shield, and your sword and everything, right? You're going to don your protective gear every day. And it's not physically. I mean, hopefully you're not going out with like full like chainmail and looking like a knight from the medieval ages. Medieval ages. But I'm talking about, like, metaphorically. we all have to wear a mask sometimes, and we all have to wear that protective gear that we feel like will protect us from the world. When one of the biggest demons that we have to face at the end of the day is ourselves, right? And these are things that we can't escape. And we have to know what makes us tick. What are triggers that make us frustrated, or even like may trigger anxiety possibly, and hopefully identify and fully understand ourselves to actively avoid the things that hurt us and to gravitate towards the things that do make us happy. So a lot of things will happen in your day-to-day life. Yes, that is guaranteed. But you need to know how to choose your battles, one, and know how to empty your cup, right? And we'll talk about the choosing your battles thing maybe in a future episode. But for emptying your cup, first and foremost, make sure you know what makes you happy, right? Like it's one thing to listen to all the self-help and all of the self-motivational stuff on YouTube and everything. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to take action and to clarify, right? We are here in this life, and our purpose is to fully understand life. And it starts with you, yourself. What makes you tick? What makes you happy? What makes you angry? What really bogs you down? So begin listing those things that make you happy. And you don't have to show anyone. You can share it with people if you want to. Again, community efforts really help, and they're really great. I really love the support of other people too when I share my ideas. But if you want to keep it to yourself, feel free to. But know how to empty your cup, right? You can even start with the exercise that, Yesenia told me, where you draw the cup and you kind of write in everything that you feel like you're holding on to, right? And that doesn't really mean a negative thing. That could also include like, your family, all this stuff, because like all the people that you dedicate time to. And you'll see, right, visually how full your cup is, right? Even in that given moment, right? And maybe it's the beginning of the day or the end of the day, but I highly recommend you do the exercise. Draw that mug on a sticky note. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be a huge poster like the ones behind me. Shout out to my visual listeners. I'm just kidding. It doesn't have to be big, but it just has to be small enough for you to see, right? I'm not going to say it. You already said it in your head. So sticky note was good, and it helped me really align my perspectives again, and allowed me to identify points in which I can, again, relieve my cup of what I was holding on to. And I think it was such a beautiful, simple, minimalist exercise that really not only grabbed my attention, but helped me take a step forward, right? Because I felt, the reason I felt really unenergized is because I felt like my life was at a stalemate. Like there was really no growth, nothing else happening. But that doesn't have to be the same for you, right? I help, like, with that exercise and with the help of friends and spending time with family and everything, things that made me happy, it helped me empty my cup. And I think the same thing can be done for you, because you are loved and you are exactly where you need to be. And know that every step you take is a step closer to who you're ultimately going to be. And it starts by identifying what makes you happy. Like, what does that term happiness mean? And in this case, what are the things that, fulfill that definition of yours in terms of happiness? All right. Well, this has been great. I'm not going to go off for 37 minutes like I did last time, but maybe next week I'll do a twofer just because I feel bad that I missed a week. I love you guys. I miss you guys. It's good to be back. And I just love doing this because it really opens conversations, and shout out to the people that reached out to me, and like really we're having these active and beautiful discussions about all these concepts. And again, I'm not 100% right. And I love hearing everyone's perspective on it. Everyone's, again, like it just brings tears to my eyes just knowing that we're all like actively working on ourselves, and we're all kind of trying and really, really attempting to acquire the maximum happiness that we can in this life, and just to remain optimistic about everything. And for those of you out there, like life, don't take it too seriously. Sometimes you just got to be like sarcastic about it and whatever. I'm going to go back to my Thursday night drop schedule, so you have it ready for Friday. I apologize for it being delayed today. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. You're loved. Empty your cup, please. Okay? You heard it. You heard it here. Empty the cup. All right, guys. Well, I will catch you next week. Maybe twice next week. We don't know. Follow me on social media at Sarcastically Optimistic Podcast to find out if I'll drop a twofer next week. It sounds kind of wrong in a way. Twofer? Do people say that? Anyways, I will catch you guys on the flip it after that. Okay? Goodbye.
Baby, why you always smoke a J, relax and watch some anime, come through to the pad I'm trying to play. The Super Smash Bros, what you know? Wait to let me pick little cardio, you don't even know what I'm saying. Up B, and down B, now be playing, praying. Anything with you, baby girl, it's a day.